Of course, before we can talk about double rainbows, we have to cover single rainbows first. They happen when the sunlight is behind you, shining into raindrops as the showers move away. Sunlight bends as it shines into the raindrop because water is more dense than air. Then it reflects off the back of the raindrop, bouncing the light back to your eyes. That bending splits the light into its different colors. Violet bends the most, red bends the least. So for a double rainbow, the sunlight reflects twice. Light shining into the bottom of the raindrop reflects back to your eyes, forming the secondary rainbow. It appears higher in the sky because the light is reflected at a different angle. And in a secondary rainbow, the colors are reversed. The double rainbow, violet appears on the outside and red on the inside. The timing of the double rainbows at sunset added to the drama of it all. The low sun angle makes the rainbows their tallest. You can see the entire half circle.